Infinite evolution, the void rises in the Marvel Universe. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 46, Harvey's Practice. Afterwards, Harvey opened the Voidwalker Kassadin Hero interface. 5 skills are marked above. Void Stone, the power and effect of magic on you will be slightly weakened, ignoring the damage caused by low-level magic, and allowing you to directly void and penetrate matter. This skill is a special skill, and it grows independently with the length of the absorbed void, and cannot be actively improved. The number of void ball evolutions is 0, absorb the power of the void to condense the void ball. Hitting a creature can seal the magical energy in the target creature for 1 second, and can condense a layer of void robes for you to resist the invasion brought by magic. Void Blade evolution times 0, all passive attacks can absorb the power of the void, adding a layer of magic to your body, causing greater damage. When actively using it, actively charge the Blade of the Void, which will greatly increase the power of your next magic attack. Energy Pulse evolution times 0, passive absorbent. When you release magic and absorb the power of the void, you can absorb the remaining magic and energy in the void within 100 meters each time. When the magic and energy gather to a certain amount, the energy pulse can be released. The power and range of the file size depends on the energy you absorb. Number of Void Descending evolutions 0. Whenever you break into and travel through Void Descending, you can trigger a void explosion according to your will, causing damage to everything around you. Every skill of Voidwalker is a magical skill against mage. Many mages are super magic turrets, but their own defense ability and melee ability are not very strong. Basically, once they are approached by the enemy, they will be very dangerous. Combined with Kha'Zix, the Void Reaver's ability, Harvey now doesn't have to worry so much about enemies who have mastered powerful magic. And these 5 skills, except that the Void Stone needs to absorb the power of the void to improve itself according to time, the other 4 skills can be improved. Harvey ate a big meal at Tony's house, and the current evolution point is 875,000. He originally thought that he could not evolve, but he noticed that these 4 skills can all be evolved by choice. Obviously, the skill evolution of Voidwalker Kassadin overlaps with the evolution of Void Reaver Kha'Zix. Let him start directly with 10,000 evolution points at will. The reason why Harvey's attack from the void can reach an astonishing 50 levels. It is because Harvey added a bunch of levels to void attack before evolving 100 times. Who can evolve the hero's big skills, who can evolve the hero's small skills, so Harvey added it to Voidfall without any hesitation. Harvey directly consumed 490,000 evolution points to raise Voidfall to level 50. A lot of knowledge poured into his mind, making Harvey feel that the surrounding world and void are hiding invisible energy. Harvey wants to directly raise void attack to level 100, but the problem is if he wants to improve further. It is necessary to keep up with some levels of other small skills one after another. Therefore, the other 3 skills can only be evolved 10 times in succession, so the skills have changed. The number of void ball evolutions is 10 times, absorb the power of the void to condense the void ball, and when it hits a creature, the void force will invade the target's body, temporarily interfere with the magic flow in the target creature's body for 3 seconds, and can condense a magic ball for you. A layer of void vestments to resist the invasion brought by magic. Void Blade has evolved 10 times, all your attacks can absorb the power of the void, adding a layer of magic to your body, causing greater damage. When actively using it, charge the Blade of the Void, which greatly increases the power of your next magic attack. Energy Pulse evolution times 10 times, passive absorbent. When you release magic and absorb the power of the void, each time you can absorb the magic and energy remaining in the void within 1,100 meters. When the magic and energy gather to a certain amount, you can release the energy pulse. The power and range of the file size depends on the energy you absorb. Number of Void Descent evolution 50. You can observe the void, see through the root of the space, and know the location of the space. When you break into and travel through the void, you can trigger a void explosion with your will, causing terrible damage to everything around you. The above skills will be further strengthened when you change back to the hero prototype. Your magic doesn't work for me, Kassadin. When Harvey saw the self-satisfied words from Kassadin, a smile appeared on his face. When such words appear, it means that he has mastered most of the power of the hero template. Harvey closed his eyes to feel the world, and instantly, he saw the stars in the universe, and countless light spots with different eyes. Among them, the light spot is the largest where you are, and the farther the distance is, the smaller the light spot is. With this ability, he can go directly to the universe. But before going to the universe, Harvey still needs to do some experiments. Otherwise, if the use is not familiar enough, if one accidentally gets himself into the sun, he will become the most stupid time traveler who died in history. So Harvey didn't stick to the countless light spots in the universe for the time being, but concentrated on the blue star. With Harvey's concentration, his field of vision quickly looked down from the universe. Let Harvey see countless human beings in New York, each one as small as an ant. I can only see some taller buildings, mountains and rivers, and landforms, and I can't hear the words of those people carefully. After discovering this scene, Harvey was relieved a lot. Because if you can directly see all the general conditions in each light spot, at least you can guarantee that he will not directly descend to an extremely dangerous area and die. Afterwards, Harvey locked his own manor, activated the void energy in the space, and the void split Harvey's body into a purple light and disappeared. In the next second, Harvey appeared in the sky above the manor outside his house. During the whole process, Harvey carefully controlled his strength, and finally fell to the ground slowly, so as not to accidentally destroy his manor with a kick. After falling to the ground, Harvey had a smile on his face. When he adapts to controlling his current power, he can go to the universe to spread the will of the void to various planets. So Harvey began to practice short-term space travel. Long-distance travel is not the focus of practice after knowing the general appearance of certain worlds that can be overlooked. Because it can only be used as a means of transmission for the time being, if you want to make void descent suitable for combat. He must be able to perform short-distance void fall at any time. So Harvey came directly to the empty ocean around, and stepped directly into the deep sea. He had to practice until the moment he thought of it in his mind, he would immediately start teleporting to the position he wanted to be in the field of vision. This will not only make him more powerful in combat, but he can also better guide other creatures to believe in the void in the universe. As for the more advanced method of directly establishing a teleportation point and taking other creatures to carry out large-scale teleportation, it is not yet what he wants to think about. Episode 47, Changes in 3 months. For the next period of time, apart from eating, Harvey devoted himself to practicing void magic every day. If you have a powerful force that you can't control perfectly, you can't call it completely your own. So when Harvey started practicing, his casting speed was extremely slow, and he was not in a hurry. I practiced steadily and carefully for more than 2 months. Harvey put all the evolutionary points accumulated over the past 2 months into the void skin of void predator, Kha'Zix. Let the void skin evolve 81 times, and at the same time let Harvey's void predator Kha'Zix evolve 300 times. After 300 evolutions, the evolution points required for evolution have also increased by half, requiring 1.5 million evolution points to evolve once. The improvement of this evolution point made Harvey feel a little terrified when he saw it. But who told him that he didn't have the opportunity to choose more hero templates? So he had to put all his evolution points into the void skin, at least 100 times. Now his void skin has evolved to 81 times, because of the continuous evolution of void skin. Harvey's physical strength has also been significantly improved, allowing him to directly reach Mach 6 at the speed of physical flight. If he fought in a small area, acting directly with his body would be faster than using void magic to travel through space. Because Harvey didn't have anything suitable to test, he didn't know the extent of his physical strength. However, his defensive power must be strong, because his speed has been significantly improved because of his stronger physical body, allowing him to bear the terrible cutting caused by the violent wind brought by the extremely fast flight. If he directly uses the void to attack, his speed has reached Mach 8. Compared with his own 9 months ago, his speed has fully doubled, and his strength and abilities are more comprehensive. With his current strength and ability, he is ready to step into the universe and spread the will of the void. But before that, Harvey finished his breakfast, looked down at New York in his mind, and disappeared in the next second. After 3 months, Tony Stark also evolved 37 times. Every time he evolves, he contributes 2,000 more void energy, and contributes 74,000 more void energy to him. Pepper didn't know if it was because the mind to gain power was not that strong, and he only evolved 17 times in 3 months. Every time he evolves, he contributes 100 void energy, which only provides 1,700 void energy. Obviously, compared with the powerful Tony Stark, Pepper contributes less void energy. But at least it's better than nothing. Harvey's goal is actually to attract these people with weaker fate. The void energy provided is relatively small, but as long as the amount increases, it will become an astonishing amount. Now Harvey has only a pitiful 175,000 void energy. It is still very far away from reaching the goal of the 100 million void energy exchange office to dominate the alien-shaped void predators. But as long as he sets foot in the universe, then this goal will not be too far away. There are countless kinds of technology in the universe. If he can have the power to control technology that dominates the aliens, his information ability can cover a very far distance. On the other side, Tony Stark and Pepper were having breakfast. Pepper planned to go to work in Stark Industries after eating, while Tony Stark continued his research after eating. It's just that they suddenly saw that the void in front of them suddenly cracked like a purple black hole. Tony Stark's eyes narrowed slightly. He had seen this kind of purple black hole before. Pepper was taken aback when he saw the scene. Because she learned some information about the extraordinary world from Tony, such as various gods, blue stars, big shot, and other things beyond ordinary people's cognition. Now that this kind of purple black hole suddenly appears, does it indicate that they have been discovered? But under the eyes of the two. A handsome young man with black hair and dark eyes came out. Mr. Harvey Ambaraka. Pepper felt relieved after being startled and greeted him politely. Tony Stark has seen the more powerful Harvey Ambaraka and probably guessed that the purple black hole was cast by Harvey Ambaraka. Harvey, this should be the first time you have come to my house on your own initiative. Come here suddenly, you should have something to tell me? So Tony Stark was not so shocked when he saw the appearance of Harvey Ambaraka, and said, "Well, I decided to leave Blue Star and go to the universe for a walk." After Harvey walked out, the void black hole behind him disappeared in an instant. Hearing Tony's words, he nodded slightly. "I wish I could go to the universe with you too. But now I'm still too weak." Seeing Harvey's arrival, Tony Stark temporarily stopped eating, shook his fist, and said, "In the past 3 months, he can feel that he has evolved many times, and his appearance has returned to his 24-year-old appearance. He looks handsome and energetic, and his strength has surpassed human cognition." Tony Stark has not forgotten what his purpose of joining the Void is, so apart from the daily evolution of eating, his research has not stopped. In 3 months, he has developed new elements and produced an arc reactor that only he knows how to do. The steel battle armor is also constantly improving. In terms of strength, the latest generation of new battle armor is much stronger than him. At least he can't do flight directly yet, let alone flight that reaches Mach 3 speed, fires energy cannons and the like. And the reason why he worked hard to improve the steel armor, and the reason why the steel armor can temporarily deceive him. He hasn't shown his true face outside now. Even if he wants to go out, he will go out to meet people in steel armor. Although many people say that he is too ostentatious, his voice and what he does are in line with the personality he has been outside. And he didn't rely on the steel armor to run amok everywhere, so he didn't cause any major trouble. Compared with him who needs to be more careful, Pepper went much smoother. Pepper also told him that he feels that his body has evolved more than 10 times, and the speed of evolution is relatively slow. But Tony Stark doesn't know whether the psychological pursuit is different, and the direction of evolution is also different. Pepper has evolved more than 10 times, and his body has been strengthened a lot, much stronger than the common people, but the strengthening is still not so obvious, and the most obvious change is Pepper's appearance. The current Pepper is equivalent to what he looked like when he was 20 years old. His skin is fairer, smoother and more beautiful, and his temperament is also confident and looks more charming. And it may be because Pepper has broadened his horizons and knows that his appearance is not old. Some changes have taken place in his behavior, and he no longer talks to himself like before. Although there are some rumors from the outside world, it is more believed that Pepper has undergone microplastic surgery in private and is well maintained. Compared with being directly regarded as an outlier, these gossips obviously did not affect Pepper's mood. Ask for a ticket. Episode 48, Overlooking the Milky Way. These 3 months should make you understand that now is just the starting point of your new life, so you don't need to feel anxious at all. It's only a matter of time before I set foot on the universe with me and see different worlds together. When Harvey heard Tony Stark's words and saw that Tony Stark's eyes were still clear, he was relieved a lot, and said with a smile. Obviously, Tony Stark has kept his words in mind for more than 2 months, and never thought of directly devouring and absorbing creatures. Although the evolution rate is a bit slow, the focus is on steady progress, so that you won't get lost in the abyss of desire so easily. Looking at myself getting younger day by day, I feel that the strength in my body is getting stronger and stronger. I know this is a new starting point. While it makes me happy, it also makes me think of all the big shots in the world and the universe, and feel my own weakness. Tony Stark also said with a smile when he heard the words. It's good that you can get used to it. Harvey nodded slightly. Harvey, I wonder if you can go to the universe. By the way, bring me some special product of the universe? Alien technology, or some special raw materials. As for the remuneration, you can mention it when the time comes, or I will exchange some shares of Stark Industries with you. As long as the technology is higher, the value of Stark Industry will also be higher, and you can also get a lot of money you want. Tony thought about it and made a suggestion. If he can obtain alien technology or materials, it is likely that he will get some inspiration and improve the quality of technology. That way he can better prepare for the crisis that Blue Star will surely face 8 years later. Now he firmly believes in what Harvey said, and Harvey has no reason to lie to himself. I go to the universe and I can go back and forth at any time. So it shouldn't be a problem to bring you something. After hearing this, Harvey thought for a while and said. That's even better, then let me wait for your good news. When you are not at home, I will ask someone to take care of the matters under your name. Make sure that when you come back, it will be clean and undamaged. Tony Stark was not surprised when he heard that he could go back and forth at any time, and a smile appeared on his face. Good. Although Harvey didn't need it, Harvey didn't shirk it and accepted the kindness. Miss Pepper, I haven't seen you for more than 2 months, and you are getting more and more beautiful. No wonder Tony Stark interceded specifically for you. Immediately, Harvey looked at Pepper and said hello. Thank you for the compliment, all thanks to Mr. Harvey, you are willing to give me this opportunity. When Pepper heard these words, a blush floated on her pretty face, and she said politely. From Tony's mouth, she learned how powerful Mr. Harvey Ambaraka is. Earlier, Tony reminded her not to always talk to herself regardless of the occasion, because she had to be careful about her behavior in front of Harvey Ambaraka. Including that more people or creatures may join the Void in the future. Although they were the first to join the Void, it is not guaranteed that there may be a very powerful existence in the universe once they join the Void. Therefore, one must be careful and prudent when speaking in front of outsiders, otherwise unimaginable disasters will be incurred. Knowing that she has stepped into the extraordinary world that is not bound by the law has changed Pepper's personality a lot. It seems that you are quite used to me, so don't worry. Okay, I'm going to go to the universe for a walk, you guys eat slowly. If something special happens to Blue Star, Tony, please send me a message. I'll take a look when I get back. Harvey felt a little unbelievable when he saw Pepper's appearance, but he didn't care too much, and said something to Tony. Then, a void black hole appeared under Harvey's feet and disappeared. It can directly go back and forth between the Blue Star and the universe. Mr. Harvey Ambaraka's ability is really unimaginable. After Harvey Ambaraka left, Pepper said with some emotion. Yeah, but his ability doesn't stop there. We're just at the beginning of evolution. As long as you don't exalt Mu Yuan, you will become stronger slowly. When we are really strong, we will go to the universe together to see the customs of each planet. Let's go for a walk in the galaxy, and see everything that we wanted to see before, but were unable to see due to technology and ability. Tony Stark's eyes flickered upon hearing this, and he spoke. He has seen those terrifying monsters, and one of them can directly shuttle between the stars. So he wasn't surprised that Harvey Ambaraka showed this kind of ability. It's just that the more you witness, the more you can discover your current weakness. Good. When Pepper heard Tony Stark's words, some longing appeared in her beautiful eyes. Harvey came directly to the moon, overlooking the distant blue planet. The cold atmosphere of the universe is as comfortable as a breeze to Harvey. Harvey has long possessed the ability to enter the universe in the flesh, but because he has no means to travel to other alien planets, Harvey has never set foot in space on his own initiative. Now possessing the ability of Voidwalker's descent from the void, Harvey finally has the ability to go to other planets to take a look. Harvey also has a clear plan for this trip to aliens. First make money as a bounty hunter in the universe, and then establish the Void God cult with a reputation. Naturally, other creatures would come forward on their own initiative, and he didn't need to look for them too much. And when you think about it, he doesn't even have to go to Wakanda to grab vibranium. In Blue Star, vibranium is a scarce resource that cannot be copied, but in the universe vibranium is at most difficult to obtain, but it does not mean that it cannot be bought or found directly. Harvey concentrated his mind, his vision broke away from his eyes, and he began to overlook the entire Milky Way. He wanted to find a relatively developed planet, and he had to get a cosmic translator first, otherwise he couldn't act without the language barrier. And also at this moment, Blue Star Kamartaj's Ancient One sensed something, and immediately ran out of the house, looking up with some horror. She felt a terrible vision in the dark, overlooking the Blue Star. Ancient One wiped his eyes with both hands, and his eyes glowed with golden light, wanting to see what existence was spying on him. But Ancient One's line of sight saw beyond the Blue Star, and he couldn't see what the other party was. At the same time, Asgard, the god realm among the 9 realms. Heimdall in front of Bifrost, with a pair of golden eyes seeing through the infinite distance, is overlooking the 9 realms. But he suddenly felt a terrifying gaze overlooking him. It was the first time Heimdall felt this feeling. So Heimdall wants to follow the source, but when the golden eyes shine and want to see everything. Everything in his sight became an empty darkness, and in this boundless darkness, there was a terrifying dark purple star. Heimdall had lived for so many years, and it was the first time he saw such a terrifying star. He didn't know the origin of this dark star, but he knew that God King Odin must have felt being watched by an unknown existence. As Heimdall imagined, an old man with white hair was drinking wine in the temple. It's just that suddenly an inexplicable sight is overlooking Asgard. Who is so bold as to spy on Asgard? Odin threw out the wine glass in his hand, stood up and put on the armor covered in golden light, and let out a loud shout. But there was no response, and the sense of peeping had disappeared. Some soldiers of Asgard were startled when they saw the king's sudden outburst, and hurriedly stepped out of the palace in full readiness. However, they only saw the seriousness on the face of God King Odin, but did not notice any enemies or strange aura coming. Each of them didn't know what happened at all, and they wanted to ask, but didn't dare to ask. Episode 49, Waiting for my brilliant reappearance. A kilometer-large purple void black hole appeared above the moon. Harvey's figure turned into purple light and disappeared in place. Meanwhile, Xander is a light year away. At the same time, a purple void black hole, with a size of 1 kilometer appeared. When Harvey's figure stepped out of it, terrifying void energy erupted, and purple-black shockwave exploded in the universe, distorting the surrounding space. Seeing this scene, Harvey was a little thankful that he didn't directly land on Xander. Because this is the first time he has carried out a light-year-level void descent, so even he cannot guarantee the burst of power when he descends. So Harvey chose the safest approach, which is to go to the vicinity of the planet first, and then go to the destination he really wants to reach. When Harvey looked down at the Milky Way to find the target, he saw Asgard and noticed what Odin seemed to have discovered. But he slipped so fast that Odin probably didn't notice him. Immediately, a void black hole appeared again under Harvey's feet. In the next second, Harvey came directly to the beautiful mountains and forests. It may be because of the livable planet, the environment of Xander star is not very different from that of Blue Star. Harvey vaguely remembered that Xander was one of the interstellar empires in the Marvel Universe, so it shouldn't be difficult to find a way to get some money and a cosmic translator first. Harvey directly absorbed the energy of the void, and soon the clothes on his body changed. Harvey was wearing a battle armor embellished with purple and gold, a gold mask on his head, and a white shirt on his body. His eyes turned into golden pupils at this moment. The atmosphere of the whole person has undergone huge amounts of changes, becoming mysterious and solemn. Harvey knew that he wanted to spread the void, so he must use a new alias. Even if it caused some commotion, it would not be so easy for those who need to be careful to lock onto his body. And wearing this costume, Harvey's alias is naturally Cassidon. Harvey soared into the sky and flew directly to the city more than 200 kilometers away. In just half an hour, Harvey saw a high-tech city wall in the distance. The radiance of the metal appears more magnificent under the sunlight. Should it be said that Xander Star is one of the well-known great empires in the universe, and the facade is really for them to understand. Above the city wall, there are spaceships flying slowly in the air, obviously Xander Star guards are patrolling. Because it was about to arrive, Harvey also fell to the ground and walked towards the city gate, step by step. As long as Xander Star doesn't embarrass him, Harvey doesn't have the idea of making a fuss here for the time being. The main purpose of his coming here is to find a cosmic translator and inquire about where he can receive the mission of the bounty hunter. Harvey saw many humanoid creatures, and their appearance was not very different from Blue Star. If Harvey hadn't known that he had come to Xander, he might have mistakenly thought that he was still on Blue Star. The arrival of Harvey has attracted the attention of many people on Xander. After all, the mysterious and solemn aura about this person who couldn't see his face clearly seemed to be in a high position for a long time, which was hard to ignore. Several guards at the city gate looked at each other in blank dismay, and each of them wanted to ask the other party to interrogate the registration identity. In the end, a male guard who was about 1.9 meters tall and looked extremely strong in a military uniform looked at his companions and said with some contempt, "Look at how cowardly you are. Isn't it just to register, what's there to be nervous about?" After saying this, the male guard took the initiative to speak when Harvey walked to the corridor below the city wall. Name, origin, purpose of coming here. The guard communicated directly with Harvey in a common alien language, while preparing to register with the boxy and thin instrument in his hand. It's just that the guard found that after he finished speaking, the mysterious visitor stopped, but he didn't answer his intention immediately. This made the guard's heart tighten, and he looked at Harvey cautiously. Harvey originally thought that he couldn't understand these people's words because he didn't have a cosmic translator, but when the other party spoke, he immediately understood. This made Harvey stunned. Cassidon, from the void, the purpose of coming here is to inquire about some news. But it is much easier to communicate directly, and Harvey reacted and answered the other party's question. The guard heard the language of the mysterious Comer, and looked at the language of the universe translator on his wrist, which showed that the language came from C-53. There are countless planets in the universe, so for a while, he couldn't recognize whether C-53 was called void or not. However, the other party seemed to be very cooperative, which made the guard feel relieved. My name is Dumb. Although I haven't heard of the planet you mentioned, I have already registered it for you. This is Xander, because you are here for the first time and registered, so you can only stay here for 7 days. Everything in the city is under the sight of our guards, pay attention to your behavior in the city during these 7 days. Otherwise our guards will catch you at any time and send you to the trial court if we find out. The trial court will punish you according to the seriousness of your crime, and even execute you if it is serious. So act with caution. The guard who claimed to be dumb released a beam of light to scan Harvey, made a record, and gave a reminder. Okay. Facing these reminders, Harvey also nodded cooperatively. Harvey is not afraid of the other party scanning and recording information, because all his current information is false information made of void vestments, and he is not afraid of being scanned at all. Okay, you can go in. After Dam registered, seeing the honest appearance of this man named Cassidon, he was also released. May I ask, where can bounty hunters receive some missions on Xander? Harvey didn't leave immediately after hearing the words, but asked directly. He was not familiar with Xander's life and place, and the fastest way to find out the news was from the guards. Are you a bounty hunter? I don't think you are a bounty hunter, but more like a big shot. When Dam heard this, he looked at it incredulously, and the man who looked dignified in his clothes said. There was a period of glory in the past, but this evening is different from the past. I want to make some money by doing some bounty tasks. When Harvey heard the other party's impression of him, he seemed to be talking about his pain, and said in a somewhat ashamed tone. Sorry, I have no intention of poking your sore spot. If you want to be a bounty hunter to take on some missions, after you enter the city, go eastward for 20 kilometers to Link Street. The bounty bar where bounty hunters often occupy is right there, it's easy to identify. I hope you can save your life and earn some money to get through this difficult period. When Dam heard these words, his eyes showed a little sympathy, and he first apologized and explained the route. Thank you for your blessings, and wait for my glorious reappearance. If you hear about my reputation and need my help, you can come to me, maybe I can help you once. Harvey heard the detailed location and glanced at the man, with some joy in his words. In the universe, because of the shattered splendor of the homeland, we are not at the end of the road, and because of the waste of money in the past, we are not used to living in poverty. In the end, there are many people who choose to join the bounty hunter and seek to make a fortune again. This man named Cassidon is not the first, nor will he be the last. So Dam didn't take it seriously when he heard these words, but he still encouraged him sincerely on the surface. I hope there will be such a day, and I hope you can survive the bounty mission. Harvey found out the destination and didn't stop there. He nodded slightly and walked into the city. Episode 50, Bounty Bar. After Harvey left, other guards surrounded Dam. That guy didn't look like an ordinary person in the past. People like him have the air of a superior person. I have been a guard for so long and have seen so many people. I've only seen 2. You should know who the 2 I mentioned are the big shots we need to be in awe of. Maybe you will have something to ask him for help in the future. Why didn't I go over and ask just now, otherwise this opportunity might have come to me. These guards began to discuss each other with each other. The big shot they're talking about is Dana Thrall's advanced constable of the Nova Corps. And Irani Rail, supreme commander of the Nova Corps, both are big shots they need to be in awe of and look up to. The glory of the past is destroyed, and it may only be overturned overnight, but we want to build glory. It's not just about getting some money through bounty missions. For a person like him, the past may have been the party that issued the reward, not the party that received the reward. People like them suffered drastic changes, and their mood was originally hit hard, and I accidentally poked his sore spot. So I just said a few words of encouragement to make up for it. Dam didn't care at all when he heard the words. Watching Harvey's figure disappear from sight, he said slowly. If he hadn't fallen, the sentence I told you just now might be a turning point in your life. What a pity. The other guards persuaded after hearing Dam's words. I think so, but if he hadn't declined in the past, he probably wouldn't be here now. Dam said angrily when he heard the words. Ha ha ha, that's what I said. Whether it's useful or not, it's good if you remember his name, just in case there will be such a day in the future. His name seems to be Cassidon? Yes, it's Cassidon. It's a weird name. What's wrong with being weird? That's why you're not common. A group of guards communicated with you and me. Most of them are citizens, and their usual job is to register and report. As long as there are no foreign enemies invading, they will not encounter any danger. It is the normal registration check, chatting and bragging, clocking in and out of get off work. In terms of status, their lowest level gatekeepers are not much higher than citizens. At most, they have better welfare and no law enforcement power. There is no comparison with the group of people selected into the Nova Corps who can own the Nova battlesuit and drive various fighter planes and warships. They also hope to join the Nova Corps, pilot fighter planes and space battleships to fight in the universe, make great achievements in battle and reach the pinnacle of life. But if you want to join the Nova Corps, you need not only ability, but also connections. If you don't have contacts, you need good luck or flattery if you want to join the Nova Corps. With good contacts, the road will be smoother, which cannot be avoided no matter which world you are in. On the other side, after learning the information, Harvey walked through the corridor all the way to the city. Harvey was not in a hurry, but looked at the surrounding scenery and the local people. The cities on Xander are very advanced and prosperous. Compared with Blue Star, they are ultramodern cities. There are all kinds of new technologies that Harvey has never seen in Blue Star, such as discs that can fly while standing, and data investigation instruments that can realize ultra-long-range vision. From time to time, there are fighter planes similar to the five-pointed star passing by at high altitude, but they don't make too much noise. I don't know if it's the performance of this fighter, or it uses technology to absorb the sound from a higher place. On the road of people coming and going, Harvey's clothes attracted some attention, but no one came up to say hello. Because they all know that this kind of dress is weird and basically comes from aliens. The aliens are either on vacation, refugees who escaped from disaster, or vicious bounty hunters. These three kinds of people have nothing to deal with. On the way to find the location of the bounty bar, Harvey found that he could only understand some languages, but not all languages. Obviously not everyone wears a cosmic translator. The purpose of Harvey coming to Xander is not to destroy this place, but to find some bounty tasks to do, and then use this as a starting point to raise money to establish the Void God cult. If you want to establish a foothold in the universe and establish a large organization, then your reputation should not be too bad from the beginning. Harvey leisurely admired everything around him, and it took him more than 20 minutes to arrive at the approximate location that Dam said. Just when Harvey was going to look for it, he found that he didn't recognize any of the slogans on the surrounding buildings or the fonts on the billboards. But he didn't care, his eyes turned into gold, and it took only a few seconds to lock on to a lively bar. And the location of this bar is only 1 kilometer away from where he is. Harvey moved, and within 2 seconds he appeared at the door of the bar and walked in directly. As soon as he walked in, Harvey heard loud music, and several dancers in revealing clothes were dancing under colorful lights. Some aliens with different appearances are happily clinking glasses and drinking, admiring women together. The job of bounty hunter brings money very quickly, and it is an easy money-making tool for capable people. But bounty hunters are always a profession that licks blood at the tip of a knife, so most of them make money and squander it without blinking an eye. Harvey's arrival just made others look at it a few more times, and soon they turned their attention to the dancer in front of them or the beauty in their arms again. Harvey walked through the crowd and came to a bar. At the bar is a beautiful blonde in a bunny costume. Seeing Harvey's mysterious and solemn temperament and the more special clothing, she became a little interested. She directly took out a transparent screen to take a picture of Harvey, and only saw Cassidy from C-53, and there were no other details. "Sir, are you here to send out the mission or to receive the mission?" After realizing that she couldn't know more information, the beautiful bunny girl had a charming smile on her face. "Where do you go to see the task?" Harvey found that he could understand directly, and spoke directly without nonsense. "Mr. Cassidy, it seems that this is your first mission. You can go to the reward platform on the left to see. I look forward to having a drink when you come back." The bunny girl looked at Harvey with winking eyes, and said in a soft and seductive voice. When she didn't find any news, she knew that Cassidy was not a well-known bounty hunter, but a newcomer who just wanted to be a bounty hunter. But there is nothing wrong with the newcomer, as long as he can come back alive, he can bring back a lot of money, and then she can make a lot of money by having a drink and spending the night together. Episode 51, Bounty Grading. "Beauty, I don't know those words, can I trouble you to introduce the translation for me? I'll buy you a few drinks when I get back." Hearing this, Harvey glanced at the reward table on the left, where different portraits and words flashed from time to time, and turned around and asked politely. "Meeting is fate. My name is Lacey. Nice to meet you." The blonde bunny girl who called herself Lacey flashed her beautiful eyes when she heard the words, thought for a while, and stretched out her white, slender, and beautiful right hand. "Hi, Miss Lacey." Harvey also stretched out his hand wrapped in the gold gauntlet, and shook hands with Lacey. "Mr. Cassidy, remember your words, buy me a few drinks when you come back." Lacey was not surprised to hear this name, but when she let go of her hand, her fingers gently slid Harvey's gauntlet. "Definitely." Lacey's hooking and flirting movements did not cause Harvey's heart to fluctuate, but it was also a hand wrapped in a gauntlet. He held Lacey's hand instead and nodded slightly. Harvey knew very well that for a woman like Lacey who worked in the bounty bar, her private life had long been messed up. Harvey does not exclude S**X, but he has never been swayed by sexual desires, let alone having sexual encounters. "Don't worry now, let's drink together when you return with a full load." Lacey pulled her hand back slightly, and the smile on her face became even more charming. "Then I'd like to trouble Miss Lacey to introduce you." After Lacey withdrew his hand, Harvey's body froze slightly, and then he spoke. Others in the bounty bar shook their heads when they saw Lacey's skillful routine and the reaction of this new Cassidy. Lacey is the waiter at the bounty bar, and will announce new bounties or guide new bounty hunters on how to take quests. At that time, many of them had just entered the Tao, and they had drank with Lacey, but it would cost a lot of money to ask Lacey out. There are also a lot of regrets after having rich experience afterwards, but it can be said that I was willing when I paid for it. And there is a backer behind Lacey. If you want to get revenge on Lacey, you have to see if you have that ability. Now another bait is on the hook, showing them a glimpse of their past. But no one made a reminder that life always has to experience some things before you can wake up. Before the introduction, let me ask Mr. Cassidy, what is your strength, and how many levels of rewards do you plan to accept? Seeing Harvey's reaction, Lacey knew that the other party had already taken the bait, so she didn't continue to seduce him, but asked with a smile. I don't know about the classification of rewards, please explain to Miss Lacey. Harvey also asked with some interest after hearing the words. There are only 3 levels of bounty missions, except for some extremely special missions. Level 1 is 100,000 to 1 million. Generally, it is to hunt down some people or serve as guards, and clear some disasters, and the distance of the task will not be too far away. You don't necessarily need to have your own spaceship to do it. Take some space routes on Xander Star, and you can go there. This is the best job for newcomers who are new to this industry. As long as you have some abilities that are different from ordinary people, you can basically succeed. And usually other colleagues will do it together, and act with other old colleagues, you can learn some experience. Definitely also has the situation of being cheated, this requires you to be careful. Lacey explained and reminded with a smile. 100,000 yuan is not cheap. If you spend 1,000 yuan, you can find a few women to spend the spring night with. Normal people usually eat and drink as long as 2,000 yuan is enough for a month's food expenses, and they are full every day. Harvey nodded when he heard the words, and continued to look at Lacey without saying a word. 1 million to 5 million is the second level, and the scope of the mission becomes much larger, and the mission target is also more dangerous. Catch and hunt fugitives across the interstellar, or protect some particularly dangerous merchant ships from interstellar predators, and clear more dangerous monsters. And there is a high probability that you will meet your peers, first come, first served. Hunting a good ship across the stars is essential. So there is a threshold for wanting to take on this kind of task. Lacey also knew what Cassidy meant and continued on. Doing this kind of task is also called not opening for 3 years, and 3 years after opening. However, the risk factor has basically been greatly increased. After all, there is still the possibility of returning empty-handed, or even the risk of dying in the hands of colleagues. The higher ones are between 5 million and 10 million. It is often the kings of some planets or countless people who crowdfund together and directly issue a common reward. The goal of the mission is often to hunt down the famous and extremely terrifying monsters, and to snatch back some special things from the terrifying interstellar predator army. Or it is to completely clean up some extremely dangerous areas, so that the location can be mined with confidence, and even hunt some ancient monsters. The remuneration is not only as low as 5 million yuan. As long as the completion is good, not only can you establish friendship, but you can also get some other remuneration, and there will be designated tasks in the future. After hearing this, Lacey continued to explain, but this is often a popular science for first-time bounty hunters. In fact, the third-level bounty task cannot be done by one person at all. Generally, only a large group with good equipment can take it up. As for the higher price, there will generally not be any except for specified tasks. Those who issued rewards were not fools, they issued rewards just to save trouble and not to cause losses to their own people. After exceeding a certain range, with so much money, it is better to directly buy weapons to arm yourself and your subordinates, and it will be faster to solve it directly by yourself. I see, Miss Lacey, tell me about the second-level bounty mission. After hearing the words, Harvey also had a general understanding of the classification of bounty tasks, and said, there are relatively few tasks on Blue Star that cost more than 5 million US dollars, so it is understandable. It's not that he doesn't have the confidence to do the third-level reward task, but before that, he needs to get his own universe translator. There are also various things to buy that are convenient for understanding bounty tasks. Mr. Cassidy, I know you want to make a lot of money, and everyone wants to make a lot of money. But you've just entered this line of work, wouldn't it be a little too hasty to go straight to level 2? Lacey's words were tinged with admonishment. It is not difficult to complete the first-level bounty mission as long as you are brave and have some weapons. At that time, she will use her words to seduce her, and it will not be a problem to make tens of thousands. As a result, Cassidy started to do level 2. The death rate of tasks of this level has been greatly increased, and the completion cycle will be relatively slow. She didn't want to belch the fish she caught without even completing a mission. Just let me see it, in return for explaining it to me. When I come back, I will definitely treat you to a few drinks. Harvey knew what Lacey was thinking when he heard that, so he spoke. Lacey didn't try to persuade her anymore, she picked up the transparent screen in her hand, tapped it a few times, and then swiped it. Harvey found that all the fonts he could not understand had become characters he knew. The tasks that can be accepted are basically more than 3 million, and those that are less than 3 million have already been completed, and you can also see who completed them. And click to see the appearance directly. Obviously, compared with the mercenaries who have to work in the dark, the bounty hunters in the universe are more upright. As long as the popularity is reached, there should be designated tasks. Episode 52, The Land of Yellow Sand. Harvey took a look at these missions, and he directly passed the pursuit mission. Although he can directly hunt across the interstellar, but currently he does not have the equipment to connect to the Bounty Intelligence Network, and his eyes will be blackened if he connects. Finding a fugitive in the vast universe is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Unless Harvey is interested in the task of guarding, he will not consider it at all. So Harvey's goal is naturally the task of clearing the disaster. The target location is clear, and after the disaster is cleared, you can directly take the money and leave, which is the simplest. And maybe that disaster is a living creature. If you kill it, you can devour it and absorb it, making the best use of it. The task of clearing disasters and hunting monsters is more than what Harvey imagined, but it is correct to think about it. Not every planet is as safe as Blue Star. Harvey picked and chose a desert monster that often caused havoc on Mowgli. The introduction of this task is that this monster will drill holes and set off sandstorms, so that the people of Mowgli planet will suffer greatly. The release time was 11 years and 74 days, the reward was 5 million, and the number of missions received was 687. No one was able to complete so many times, obviously either died or gave up later. But Harvey didn't care. After choosing to accept it, an interstellar route appeared on the transparent board in front of Harvey, 30 light-years away from Xander. The above also marked the reward for the task after completion, which can be collected directly from the king of the planet Mowgli, Ob Mowgli. Lacey originally wanted to say some reminders, but saw this man named Cassidy accept this task. Knowing that his few glasses of wine could be said to be gone, he didn't bother to persuade him. He just said a blessing. Good luck, Mr. Cassidy. See you later, Miss Lacey. Harvey nodded slightly when he heard the words, and left after saying a word. Lacey, it seems that you have done nothing this time. Stop talking, I'm bored. I bet that guy can't complete that mission, and most likely will die on that mission. Who would be stupid enough to bet on this with you? How about I bet on his death and you bet on his life? Who wouldn't be tempted to see the 5 million reward, but you have to die to get it? I'm still new to the industry, I haven't seen any real danger, I think I have a way to solve it. I left my right leg and the jet in that desert. In the face of that kind of natural disaster monster, it's lucky that you can recover a life. As long as the bounty hunter industry has been in business for a long time, it is difficult to ensure that they can still maintain their original bodies, and most of them have some prosthetics installed. However, they are used to this life of spending money like water and licking blood with the tip of a knife, so it is impossible for them to go back to live a peaceful life of normal people. Since you have the ability, you can use it to the last moment as much as you want, even if most of them don't end well, it's not in vain for them to come to this world. After Harvey left the bounty bar, he left Xander in an instant and appeared in the universe. Immediately, Harvey began to search according to the direction and distance drawn by the reward task just now. 30 light-years away, other people still have to drive space fighters to find space wormholes, but for Harvey, no matter how far the distance is, it is only one step away. Harvey looked down at the stars, and soon found a khaki planet nearby. 1/3 of the planet is covered with deserts. Harvey stepped down, and the void black hole appeared and disappeared directly in place. In the next second, Harvey appeared directly on a piece of yellow sand. The planet's gravity is twice as heavy as that of the blue star, and the temperature is like a boiling hot pot. Harvey could see the air, distorted by the heat. In the case of higher gravity, if ordinary people do not have protective clothing and come here directly, it will not take long for them to die of thirst due to high temperature and lack of water, and then turn into bones. Those who control the fighter planes, if the fighter planes are destroyed, can walk out of this piece of yellow sand alive, and they are very capable. Harvey walks on the yellow sand, and everything under the yellow sand can be seen in his eyes. 300 meters below this piece of yellow sand, there are a large number of crustacean monsters. It is simply a paradise for monsters. And the further down they go, the bigger these crustacean monsters are. The largest monster is 20 meters wide, and its body is about 50 meters long. Counting the tail, it is a full 100 meters long. And this desert monster is located 2 kilometers below the desert. This scorpion is like the queen of this yellow sand. One after another, the scorpion is more than 10 meters long, burrowing around in the sand, looking for creatures on this desert. Then the food will be brought back 1,000 meters below, and given to that huge amounts of monster to eat. According to intelligence, this monster can trigger sandstorms, and it is located under such a deep desert. It is no wonder that the mission has been accepted so many times, but no one has ever completed it. It can set off a sandstorm, and the terrifying giant hook that can come along with the sandstorm is hard to parry. If you encounter an enemy that can harm you, you will directly cause a sandstorm and drill into the bottom of the desert. This desert, which is like a burning hell to ordinary people, has become the best protective barrier for this monster. Not to mention driving a fighter plane, even a fleet can hardly threaten it. Unless the desert is directly destroyed, it is difficult to kill it. This task is only 5 million. It seems that the king and residents of this planet do not understand the true strength of this monster. But this is my first task rather than a designated task, so I don't ask the other party to add money. After the stable completion, the most important thing is to establish a good start. And with Harvey's direct shuttle space came to the top of this monster. The monster at the bottom of the desert also felt that it was seen by something, and opened its eyes. The biological instinct of hunting for many years has made it very powerful for dangerous perceptions. The extremely heavy quicksand did not hinder its speed at all, on the contrary, it made it swim like a fish in water, and started to swim directly up. As the 1,000-meter yellow sand around it began to flow, a huge amounts of quicksand vortex appeared in the desert, trying to drag Harvey directly into the bottom of the desert. Harvey just soared into the air, and the purple energy on his body gathered and turned into spikes, all of which aimed at the ground. The void spikes were released directly, and countless streams of sharp purple energy were released, most of which directly penetrated the desert for kilometers. The void spike exploded directly, and the desert 10,000 meters away from Fong began to shake. A terrifying pothole appeared in the desert, and a large amount of quicksand was constantly poured in. A huge amounts of black shadow appeared at the bottom of the desert, and a mournful cry resounded through the sky. The yellow sand rolled up all over the sky, and when the wind blew, the yellow sand filled the sky instantly, and the sky and the earth began to change color. In front of the tens of meters long behemoth, Harvey's body seemed to be covered with a layer of purple armor, and the yellow sand could not invade within 1 meter of Harvey. Harvey looked at the moaning desert monster, and his right hand directly turned into purple sickle. With a movement of his body, he made 16 slashes in an instant. The monster's wailing stopped abruptly, its huge body was directly divided into neat pieces of meat, and a large amount of purple blood covered the yellow desert with a layer of purple. Episode 53, The Disaster in the Desert. The whole monster only has a head about 5 meters in size, which is still intact. Harvey manipulated the void energy to catch it, and the other blood clots that fell were also caught and floated in the air one by one. Apart from the fact that the head had to be handed in to receive the bounty, these were all evolutionary points. Eating up such a relatively powerful monster will definitely provide him with a lot of evolution points. It's a pity that you don't have enough wisdom, otherwise I will give you a chance to believe in emptiness. Harvey looked at the huge dead head 10 meters away from him, and said with some regret. For intelligent and rational creatures, he only needs to tell the other party what the void will bring, and cooperate with some power to make the other party believe in the void and join the void. It is not difficult. But for this kind of creature with only biological instinct and low intelligence, it is not so easy for him to give the other party a chance. Harvey didn't regret it for too long. Although he couldn't win the other party's belief in the void, at least the other party would definitely provide him with a lot of evolution points. I just don't know if this thing tastes good. After cooking, Harvey doesn't dare to hope that it will be very delicious, he just hopes that it won't be too bad. Harvey led the corpse of the monster towards the city of Mowgli. This city is only more than 600 kilometers away from where the monster is. However, when Harvey was flying, he saw one city after another, which had been weathered into ruins by the desert because no one lived there. There is an ecological chain in the desert, and this desert monster should be enough to eat, but as the number of ethnic groups begins to grow, they have to expand their territory. Until I tasted the creatures outside the desert, not to mention whether they are delicious or not, knowing that there are a lot of prey outside the desert. Then this monster at the bottom of the desert must hunt prey outside the desert again, and it cannot be said to be cruel, but it can only be said to be the instinct of creatures. It is impossible for a person to say that a wolf eating a sheep is a cruel act. It was only because of this monster that ate intelligent creatures that they panicked and issued missions, which eventually attracted him. Harvey flew more than 600 miles and found the nearest town with desert customs. The people here all have red skin. It looks like Harvey doesn't want to say that, but in his aesthetics, these creatures of this race are a bit ugly. Harvey flew from the sky with a pile of meat, which shocked some humanoid creatures on Mowgli. A Wei is in the way. My lord, what can I do for you? A muscular 2.5-meter tall male? Looking at Harvey's arrival, he asked cautiously. Harvey heard the other party's words and found that he couldn't understand at all, but there was no nonsense. Throwing the monster's head directly, with a bang, the monster's huge head fell to the ground, splashing some wind and sand. All these people were taken aback and retreated more than 10 meters. Seeing their movements, Harvey felt a little headache. He thought for a moment, pointed to his head, and rubbed his thumb and fingers together, implying the meaning of money, hoping that this would make the other party understand that he wanted money. Ah Ching, Leo. This is? Seeing the huge amounts of monster's head, the strong man shrank his eyes and asked again in disbelief. However, when he noticed that this person who could directly fly and was wearing weird clothes made a simple and easy to understand sign language meaning money. Ah Wei is in the way, but Ah Shui is in the group. My lord, please wait. The man spoke to Harvey first. Then he didn't care whether Harvey understood or not, he turned around and explained to his companions, telling them to go to the mayor. They have always been tortured by the desert disaster, but not many people know what the desert disaster looks like. Because desert disasters are often accompanied by sandstorms, only a general outline can be seen. Fortunately, the mayor has lived for at least 200 years, so he may know something. Harvey saw their men run away, and decided to wait a little too. If the town does not find anyone to communicate with, then he will continue to find a more prosperous city. The cosmic translator is not available in Lan Xingjian, but it should not be difficult to find in the universe. There will always be people in the entire Mowgli planet who have a cosmic translator, otherwise the other party would not be able to issue a reward. 10 minutes passed, and an old man with a wrinkled face and red beard and hair ran over quickly barefoot. It is not surprising that Harvey saw the old man showing a body function that was completely inconsistent with his appearance. Because the life energy of these guys is very strong, and their feet are directly on the hot yellow sand, and they are not affected at all. My lord, my name is Alex, the mayor here, did you help us kill the desert plague? Although the old man was old, facing Harvey who couldn't see his face clearly, his attitude was very low, and he asked respectfully. Yes, take me to the king of your planet, Orb Mowgli, for the reward I deserve. Harvey found that he could understand, and spoke. Our king lives in the capital of Mowgli, tens of thousands of miles away. I'm old, so it's hard to take you to the king. But I can help you pass the message and let them send someone to see you. You helped us solve the disaster in the desert and relieved us of the great trouble we have been worrying about for a long time. I hope you can give us a chance to entertain you. The old man named Alex has an extremely respectful attitude. Following the words of the old man, other people around heard that this monster was really a huge monster and it was really a disaster in the desert, and they all showed admiration, and gratitude to Harvey. I have a big appetite, and you will spend a lot of money entertaining me, so I won't be greedy for your cheap. You guys help me cook this desert disaster, just leave ahead and let me receive a reward. When Harvey heard that the other party wanted to entertain him, he said. Yes, we have always been good at cooking sand-shell scorpions. We'll definitely serve you the best food. Alex readily agreed upon hearing this. When Harvey heard it, he put all the remaining pieces of meat on the ground. More than 30 strong men began to work together to lift these pieces of meat to a huge circular stone pit. Sand-shell scorpions are resistant to heat but are afraid of water. They will burrow into the sand when they are alive, and water cannot touch them at all. However, as long as there is water after they die, their shells can be broken at any time. This warrior, I have sent someone to notify you, waiting for you to finish your meal. The fighter jets of the King's Guard will also arrive, and then you can claim your reward. After calling people to cook, Alex said to Harvey. He didn't know who this man in the gold armor was, but the man who was able to solve the disaster in the desert was unbelievably strong, and he was also able to fly directly. This is definitely an amazing powerhouse. The best way to survive in the face of the strong is to remain humble. Can. Harvey didn't refuse when he heard the words, and nodded. Episode 54, God's Gift. Afterwards, Harvey also found a rock and sat in the air directly. Possessing the void vestment condensed by magic, the ultra-high temperature could not invade Harvey at all. The Mowgli stars saw that this person could fly directly, and they were all full of curiosity. They are not afraid of the heat by nature, and their physical fitness and endurance are excellent. They can run for hours in this yellow sand land without getting tired. I have also seen other people from extraterrestrials, those people came in powerful starfighters, and the alien technology is still very powerful. It's just that they have never seen anyone who can fly directly without relying on fighter planes or special technology. Warrior, I don't know how to call you. Mayor Alex looked at Harvey and asked respectfully. My name is Cassidon. I'm just doing business for my money and I'm leaving soon. So you don't need to call me a warrior. Harvey glanced at Alex upon hearing this, and said lightly. Please don't get me wrong, I didn't mean to offend you. But may I venture to ask you a question? After hearing this, Alex waved his hand immediately, looking apologetic, and then asked cautiously. Harvey nodded thoughtfully when he heard the words. Mr. Cassidon, you can fly directly, and you can also kill the desert plague that countless people cannot kill. Excuse me, are you a god? Alex saw Harvey nodding with some admiration in his eyes. They, the Mowgli clan, have always lived in this desert. They have always belonged to the biological chain relationship of hunting or being hunted with sand-shell scorpions. They may return with a full load or there may be some casualties, and they will pay homage and mourn and then implement sand burial. However, since the desert disaster appeared more than 20 years ago, countless tribesmen were directly involved in the sandstorm, and then fell into the terrifying desert quicksand and died. At first, when the king heard the news, he also tried his best to deal with the disaster in the desert. He also performed sacrifices, hoping to pray for God's help. Because the desert disaster completely broke the balance between the Mowgli tribe and the sand-shell scorpions, and became a disaster. But no matter how pious they are, offering many food offerings to the temples left by the gods in the past, the gods have never responded to the sacrifices. Finally, the king was forced to seek help from aliens. It is also because of seeking the help of aliens, those older generations with high positions and weights all got the cosmic translator. In the past few years, Alex has also seen many aliens and alien technology that he has never seen before. He has seen terrorist bombs detonated directly, turning an area into a radiation-forbidden area. I have also seen a space fleet composed of more than 30 fighter planes, sweeping the desert with terrifying vitality. But everything was helpless and ended in the disaster of the desert. Originally, he had no hope of killing the desert calamity, so he could only lead his tribe to emigrate to the land based on the expansion of the desert calamity. Unexpectedly, now that the desert disaster is dead, he can only describe it as a god for being able to kill the desert disaster. Yes. Harvey glanced at Alex with golden eyes upon hearing this. Then you must have your world and your temple? When Alex heard this sentence, the admiration in his eyes became a little excited, and his words were also a little excited. There are legendaries of gods who are similar to each other in every planet, and there are naturally some in their world. However, he has lived for more than 200 years and has never seen a real god, and even thought that gods do not exist. But now he has seen the real god, even if this Kassadin is a foreign god, but being able to contact the god is originally a miracle. I come from the void. Seeing Alex's excited appearance, Harvey did not answer directly, but explained where he came from. His current strength is comparable to some gods who are not very powerful, so there is no problem calling himself a god. But Harvey doesn't have a temple at this stage, let alone a world that belongs to him. My family has prayed to the gods for many years, but we have never seen a trace of the gods. God from the void, thank you for coming, and bless the Mowgli tribe. The 5 million dedicated to you will be delivered shortly. I hope you can give us a chance to build a temple for you. If our family encounters a catastrophe, we will continue to pay you what you need. I implore you to continue to protect our family in the future. After hearing this, Alex knelt down and said reverently. The technology of their Mowgli tribe is not the most developed in the universe, but they also have the opportunity to go to the universe. They can use technology to counter all kinds of natural and man-made disasters, but they have been facing the desert disaster for more than 20 years, and they have no way to compete with it. He knew that this was an alien god, and he also knew that Kassadin, the god from the void, was attracted by the king's large amount of money. The other party is not a local god but an alien god, so paying tribute to the other party's needs and obtaining the other party's blessing is an equivalent exchange. When Harvey heard that the other party was going to build a temple for himself, he closed his eyes and carefully examined the entire Mowgli planet thoughtfully. Wanting to find traces of the gods of this planet, he saw whether it was this land of yellow sand, land or deep sea. There are one temple after another, but all of those temples have been dilapidated. Although Harvey is not deep in archaeological research, he passed through the destroyed temples. If it is roughly inferred, it seems that there have been no miracles for at least 1,000 years, otherwise it should be preserved until now. Alex prostrated himself on the ground, feeling extremely nervous, waiting for Kassadin's response. If you want to build a temple for me, I can give you some blessings. If there is any unsolvable disaster in the future, you can pray for my presence. After Harvey knew that there was no trace of God in this world, he looked at Alex, who was prostrate on the ground, and said, the fundamental purpose of his coming to the universe is to establish the void religion, attract more creatures to join the void, and allow him to obtain more void energy. If there are no gods in this world, he can safely recruit some creatures to join the void and let them develop slowly here. After he becomes stronger, he can completely believe in the void god cult on Mowgli and join the void. But if you want to establish the void god religion and let more people start to believe in it, you must first give some people strength. Harvey pointed his right hand, and Green's life energy poured directly into Alex's body. Under the watchful eyes of a group of people, Alex's originally white hair and beard turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the red hair was the hair color of the Mowgli tribe when they were young. Thank you Kassadin, the god of the void, for the gift. Alex felt the power coming from his body constantly, and seeing his old wrinkled hands began to become vigorous and powerful, he was full of admiration. With the shouting of this sentence, Harvey also received a reminder from the system. The Mowgli star Alex Mowgli hopes to believe in and understand the void, whether to accept letting the other party join the great void. Facing this request, Harvey directly chose yes. Alex's body soared into the air, and Purple's energy entangled him. Seeing this incredible scene, the other members of the other Mowgli tribes all stared wide-eyed. Although they couldn't understand what Kassadin said, they could all understand what the mayor said. At the moment, in front of them was a god from the void. The mayor prayed for the blessing of the other party, and it seemed that he responded. Within tens of seconds, Alex opened his eyes. Thank you for the gift of God. I will definitely build a temple for you and believe in you for the rest of my life before I die. Mowgli saw the might of the void god, and after waking up, he was even more admiring, and said reverently. Episode 55, The Three Commandments. Because he recruited Alex and contributed 1,000 void energy to Harvey, this energy is obviously not much. But as long as Alex makes more of his fellows believe in the void, then the distance to 100 million void energies will be very close. You have obtained my blessing and joined the void, then you must remember 3 rules. 1. After obtaining my gift, you can devour anything with energy to evolve and gain more powerful power, but you must not swallow living things alive. 2nd, with your growing power, I will not care about causing disputes and causing some deaths, but you must not cannibalize your own species no matter what. 3. Keep rational at all times, and don't be swayed by desires to become an irrational monster. If you become such a monster, I will personally come and execute it. The great void will give all creatures the opportunity to believe. Seeing Alex, who was in awe of him, Harvey spoke. Respected Lord Cassidon, God of the Void, I will keep your teachings in mind and make your teachings a lifelong commandment of the temple. Alex nodded solemnly when he heard the words, and said very seriously. He saw Lord Cassidon's body, which was as terrifying and vast as a galaxy, and knew the strength of this lord. Moreover, the blessing that Lord Cassidon gave at will is also a miracle. He is already over 200 years old. Even if there is no major disease in the body at this age of the Mowgli tribe, he will die in another 20 or 30 years. It can be said that he is about to reach the end of his life, and his body is no longer as strong as it used to be. But now his hair color has changed to half red and half white, making him at least 30 or 40 years younger. And as long as he eats, he can gain more powerful strength, which is simply unimaginable. Well, I look forward to your future performance. As long as your fellow clansmen are devout enough and believe in the void, then I will grant them gifts and let them join the great void together. Harvey looked at Alex and said. Yes. Receiving this promise, Alex immediately nodded, overjoyed. Others also cooked the disaster of the desert, and together they directly lifted it onto the boulders one after another. Master Cassidon, your food is ready. Seeing them carrying the food over, Alex felt a burst of hunger in his stomach, swallowed, and still controlled the desire to eat, and said respectfully. Harvey reached out to take off the mask, and his appearance was covered by golden light, which was impossible for others to see through. Master Cassidon, eat slowly, please allow me to leave first. Seeing this scene, Alex made a respectful request. Harvey waved his hand, and Alex saw it and went home immediately. He wanted to find something to eat, otherwise he would be punished by God if he was so hungry and acted irrationally. The shell of the plague of the desert is very hard, and the taste is similar to eating pork. The fleshy feeling may be because the gravity of this planet is twice that of the blue star, and the meat is very tight. Without good teeth, this thing is really not so easy to crush. Every time Harvey ate a large piece, he gained 50,000 evolution points. This desert disaster has 34 stages, and eating all of them can directly allow Harvey to evolve once. If he didn't want to save the head of the desert plague for his work, he would have eaten that head that was several meters long. But the king of the Mowgli tribe should take the head of the plague of the desert to appease the masses. Considering making a good impression on the king of this planet, his temple should also be better built here. Harvey felt that it was better not to negotiate with the other party to keep the head. Anyway, there is more than one powerful creature in the universe, so he doesn't have to worry. The people on Mowgli Star saw the 100-meter-long desert disaster, and within 2 hours, all of them fell into the belly of the void god. One by one was not frightened but shocked. After Harvey finished eating, his evolution points reached 2.17 million, but he didn't choose to evolve on the spot. He waited until he finished this task and found a place to settle down. And at this moment, the roar of the injector resounded around. 30 khaki fighters surrounded a huge amounts of battleship, landed from the sky, and landed precisely outside the town. As the hatch of the battleship opened, a tall, shirtless, 2.8-meter-high red figure exuding a sense of explosive power walked out of it. As soon as the red figure appeared, Alex knelt down on one knee, and other residents of the town also knelt down on one knee. The red figure stepped on the ground with both feet, jumped more than 10 meters high, and fell over a distance of more than 100 meters. After only a dozen jumps, he came to 100 meters away from Harvey. The red figure saw only Harvey in a strange costume he had never seen before, and did not kneel down. At the same time, he also saw the head of a 6-meter-long sand shell scorpion, 10 meters away from Harvey. I am Orb Mowgli, King of Mowgli. You must be the warrior who solved the disaster in the desert. The man came to Harvey with a smile on his face, stretched out his hand and introduced himself. My name is Cassidon, from the Void. Should you bring the reward for solving the desert disaster? After hearing the words, Harvey also introduced himself and asked. Definitely, you have solved the problem that has plagued my family for more than 20 years, and the reward will naturally not be short of you. Mowgli finished speaking and motioned to the people behind him. And the man behind him blew a whistle when he received the instruction. Several big men directly lifted 5 huge amounts of boxes off the space battleship. Kassadin, you can solve the disaster in the desert. Your strength is the strongest I have ever seen. I hope we can establish friendship. In the future, if there are creatures that are difficult for us to solve, if we can cooperate with you, I will definitely pay you normally. I wonder if you can exchange cosmic signals with me? Mowgli watched Harvey stretch out his hand and said with a smile. He definitely knew that it was impossible to directly recruit Harvey, an alien. However, being able to establish some friendships, and you can pay money to ask for help from the other party in the future, is already a very good starting point. I don't have any cosmic signals. I will visit Mowgli again in the future. Harvey wanted to exchange when he heard the words, because this was the beginning of the designated mission, but now he doesn't have a cosmic translator, let alone a cosmic signal or a universal bank account. Okay, next time you are a guest, please come to our capital, Shaylin, to take a look. Mowgli was a little surprised to hear that there was no cosmic signal, but he also heard this Kassadin, and planned to leave after taking the money. Knowing that there was no point in forcing him to stay, he sent a friendly signal. Must. Harvey reached out his hand when he heard this, and shook it with Mowgli. Afterwards, Harvey stepped down and directly crossed hundreds of meters, appearing in front of the 5 boxes. Harvey reached out to touch these boxes, and with another step, Harvey disappeared from the sight of everyone on Mowgli planet. Mowgli saw this kind of teleportation-like magic method, his heart was shocked, and he looked at Alex. Alex, you're getting younger. Tell me about that Kassadin just now. Mowgli noticed that Alex's hair had turned half red and half white, his eyes flashed, and he said. Yes. When you came, the king, I established a relationship of faith and blessing with Lord Kassadin, the god of the void, and received God's blessing. Alex stood up upon hearing this and began to explain the situation. Is the alien god still pious enough to be blessed? Alex, you are the only void believer on Mowgli. I allow you to build a temple for him and have a look. The money will be allocated to you directly when I get back. I look forward to your performance. After Mowgli learned about it, he looked at the place where Harvey disappeared just now, thought about it, and said. There have been no miracles on Mowgli for too long, and now an alien god has come. If faith can be blessed, this may be an opportunity for their family. But before that, he had to observe Alex's situation. If there was no uncontrollable situation or side effects in Alex's body in the past 6 months or even a year, he wouldn't mind building more temples to the void god Kassadin himself. Episode 56, Proper Profession Bounty Hunter. After Harvey left Mowgli, he took 5 large boxes and returned to Xander through the void descent. Harvey decided to get some money and equipment first, deal with bank cards and the like, and buy Lacey a few drinks at the bounty bar. He used magic to carry the box directly, entered the city of Xander, and asked someone casually where the Universe Bank was. After queuing up to fill out forms and spending several hours before the sun went down, Harvey successfully registered his own Universe Bank card. And with the help of people from Xander Star Bank, Harvey got 2 cosmic translators and 2 cosmic communicators by the way. The price is also very cheap, only costing more than 3,000 yuan. Harvey clicked on his right arm, and found a transparent box popped up, and because of the Universe Translator, all these fonts were translated into the words of Blue Star, and he could surf the internet at any time. There was no language threshold, and the technology of the universe was really good. Use. After Harvey decided to take it back to Tony, let Tony study it to see if he could make it or get some inspiration. It's best to get a space fighter and bring it back to Tony. If he bought the space fighter directly, it would be more troublesome for him to have no connections. But he can look at other rewards, if the situation permits, it is not difficult to get one back intact. After Harvey finished the process, he came to the bounty bar again. When everyone in the bounty bar saw the man wearing the purple gold armor and the gold mask reappear, they even slowed down their breathing. To ask why, it is definitely that the mission of the disaster of the desert has been completed by the main bounty mark more than an hour ago. And the completed bounty hunter was the Kassadin they saw now. It takes less than a day to complete a task that has been released for 10 years, and no one has completed it. They wouldn't be surprised if Kassadin took a day to reach Mowgli. Because it is only 30 light years away, as long as you have your own space fighter, you can reach it by looking for a wormhole and jumping. But the scariest thing is that Kassadin not only arrived, but actually solved it. Many bounty hunters present have heard of how difficult the task of the disaster in the desert is. Because the entire area of yellow sand is within the scope of the desert disaster, it cannot be solved by sending a fleet of fleets there. Even put some destructive weapons, as long as they don't blast through the bottomless desert, they can't threaten the cunning and powerful desert disaster at all. They don't know how Cassidon did it, they only know Cassidon's strength and means, which are too terrifying to imagine. Harvey turned a blind eye to their cautious prying eyes, and went straight to the bar seat in front of Lacey, and sat down. "Miss Lacey, please bring me a few glasses of wine, and a few for you by the way." Harvey sat in his seat and said with a smile. Lacey originally thought that Cassidon, who had just stepped into the bounty hunter industry, was going to die under that arrogance and stupidity. Unexpectedly, only half a day had passed, and she received 5,000 yuan as a reward from the recommender. This meant that the bounty master, Orb Mowgli, had already settled the money for the bounty task, and gave the bounty organization some due handling fees. Normally, it is recommended for bounty hunters who are entering this industry for the first time to complete the first mission. 1,000 yuan is a lot for her, but this time it was 5,000 yuan. Until now, Lacey felt a little unreal, looking at Cassidon, who was wearing a gold mask and couldn't see his face clearly. "Have you really completed that mission?" Lacey asked in disbelief. "Definitely. I didn't have a universe translator on me before, so I couldn't understand the rewards at all, let alone the rules. So I would also like to thank Miss Lacey for introducing me. You did me a favor. I don't know if I have a chance. Please, Miss Lacey, have a few drinks and have a chat with me?" Harvey heard the words with some smiles, and sent out an invitation. He has gained a lot this time. Not only has the basic equipment for walking in the universe been completed, but his subsequent actions will not be so troublesome. He must find someone with a universe translator to communicate. And he ate the disaster of the desert to provide him with a large amount of evolution points enough to evolve once. The most important thing is that he planted a seed on Mowgli's star, and now as long as he waits for some time, Alex will definitely help him recruit more people from Mowgli's star to join the void. But now he still needs to find out with Lacey how to connect to the network of the bounty organization on the cosmic communicator, so that he can truly integrate into the universe. "Mr. Cassidon's invitation is my honor." When Lacey heard Harvey's words, she was a little startled, but soon a charming smile appeared on her face. She gave Harvey a winking look, and said in a soft voice, "It is impossible to directly cheat Harvey, after all, this is a strong man who can complete the equivalent of a third-level reward. This kind of strong person is generally a celebrity in the bounty hunter world, and does not need a recommender at all, and he will look at the task he wants to do. The best way to communicate with such a strong person is to communicate, rather than trying to cheat the other party. Although there are laws on Xander Star that cannot use force casually, and there are some backers behind her, everyone who can complete the third-level reward is a powerful and murderous person. As long as you dare to cheat the other party will dare to kill you. Cherry, help me make a few glasses of wine. Mr. Cassidon invited me for a few drinks." Lacey looked at the bartender aside and said. Then, with her swaying waist and her long snow-white legs wrapped in stockings, she walked out of the bar and sat down at the seat next to Harvey. "Miss Lacey, teach me how to use the space communicator. I want to directly connect to the bounty system, what should I do?" Harvey clicked his right hand directly, and a projection appeared. Although bounty hunters are not very popular in the universe, they are also a legitimate profession, so you can connect at any time as long as you search. It's just that some hunting missions may cause unavoidable damage, so they are not welcome on certain planets. But generally speaking, as long as you don't harm Xander, Carrie, or Suowei Lin Xing during your mission. It is not popular on some planets and will not be affected too much, but it may be rewarded. Lacey leaned forward slightly, and stretched out her white and slender hand while talking. The 5 fingers were white and tender, as dexterous as a butterfly, and helped Harvey enter the bounty hunter's network. The round, soft flesh on Lacey's chest was almost on Harvey's body. The other bounty hunters in the bar looked straight. Although some of them have been tricked by Lacey in the past, I have to admit that Lacey has a good skin. And Lacey knows how to grasp the size between a man and how to please a man, so that the other party can get pleasure both visually and physically. This reminded them of when they first came into contact with Lacey. Although they later found out that they had been cheated out of a sum of money, they still had a good impression of Lacey. Occasionally, when they are interested, they will spend more money to ask Lacey once, so that their visual, physical, and emotional experience can be extremely pleasant. Episode 57, Information and Gifts. Harvey didn't show obvious resistance to Lacey's initiative to post it. He just let the flow take its course and learned about some superficial and secret rules about bounty hunters with Lacey. His strength is very strong, but not so strong that he completely ignores all rules, so what should be obeyed must be obeyed. With the help of Lacey, Harvey successfully registered an account and entered the bounty website. It has his resume and his appearance, what tasks he has completed, and the level of the bounty hunter has directly become the second level. By the way, Lacey also took the initiative to help Harvey download and register the account of Light and Shadow, the special information network for bounty hunters. This allows you to directly search for more information about the bounty mission and make better preparations. However, if you want to know the latest information about the mission, you need to pay extra to be able to view it. The information on the basic 9 missions will have high information accuracy. But if it's information about interstellar predators and bounty hunters, it cannot be guaranteed to be 100% accurate. It can only provide the planets you frequent, what abilities you have, and so on. Interstellar predators and bounty hunters tend to have many enemies, so they generally don't stay in one place for too long. Only a very small number of powerful interstellar predators and bounty hunters dare to stay on the same planet all year round, not afraid of the enemy's revenge. After Lacey helped to complete the registration, she explained the role of light and shadow. Being able to learn more news is enough. Miss Lacey, can you tell me that there are people other than the Doll Stars, Kree Stars, and Suawe Linshings? Are there any people in the universe who absolutely cannot be offended? Harvey didn't mind when he heard the words, and asked more about the situation. Lacey heard this question, thought about it, and continued to explain. If you strip away the above 3 races, it's not too much to say that you can never be offended in the universe. That must be the god of Asgard and Olympus, whether you have heard of it before or not, but as long as you are a bounty hunter, you will also hear the name of Odin and Zeus. Their strength and status can be called gods, ruling multiple worlds. But they basically only stay in their own world, and it's not so easy to meet them in the universe, so you don't have to worry too much about offending them. There is also the Empyrean of Sakaar and the Collector of the Void. Gao Tianzuan and Collector are brothers, both of them are monsters who have lived countless ages. Through the long years, they have accumulated terrible wealth that people like us can't even imagine, and countless people have worked for them. They are also the ones who issued the most bounty rewards. If you offend them, you can say that you have offended all the bounty hunters. As soon as the reward is announced, countless peers will go to hunt and arrest it. Gao Tianzuan and Collector also live in seclusion, so I hardly meet them. Above them, you should pay more attention to Thanos, who is powerful and has recently caused turmoil in various parts of the universe. You can learn more about his information later by yourself. When you receive any news, avoid it and don't confront them head-on. These actually belong to the common sense of the universe, and when Cassidon stays in the universe for a long time, he will naturally understand, so there is no need for Lacey to hide it. Cassidon was able to complete the task of the disaster in the desert, which was a task that even a group of elite fleets could not complete in the past, but Cassidon completed it. Although I don't know how it was done, in Lacey's view, Cassidon is definitely very strong. But those characters she mentioned all have huge power. Even if Cassidon is strong alone, he can't beat 4 hands with 2 fists. However, a strong man like Cassidon who can perform the equivalent of a 3rd-level bounty task as soon as he comes up, as long as he avoids these few people who must not be offended. You can live extremely carefree in the universe. When Harvey heard these familiar names, he knew it already, and glanced at the price of the most expensive wine above the bar, which was 3,000 glasses. His right hand touched Lacey's arm, and a projection appeared. Harvey clicked a few times casually, came up with the transfer interface, entered 100,000 and clicked OK. Miss Lacey, your information is very useful to me. This 100,000 yuan is my money, to buy you a drink. I think we'll meet again someday. But it's getting late now, and I still need to find a place to live, so I'm leaving first. Harvey stood up, speaking with some gratitude. Knowing that Cassidon is a strong person, Lacey didn't dare to cheat Cassidon, but chose a softer way, hoping to establish a friendly relationship with him. I didn't expect Cassidon to pay 100,000 yuan as soon as she made a move. You must know that her basic salary for working here is only 8,000 yuan a month. If you want to earn more, you have to rely on commissions, and rely on your appearance to sell your body to seduce and please men. If it is counted as a commission, if she is lucky, she can earn the 100,000 in 2 months, and if she is unlucky, she can earn the 100,000 in 3 months. However, if the commission is not counted, Cassidon's payment is equivalent to her basic salary for 1 year, which can be said to be extremely generous. Mr. Cassidon, I think we can talk all night. And you should be coming to Xander for the first time, so I can introduce you to more things. Seeing that Cassidon was so generous, Lacey also stood up and said proactively with her right hand on her chest. Although she didn't know what race Cassidon was or what his appearance was, Cassidon's aura of a superior person was likely to be a handsome guy. No need, Miss Lacey, you have helped me enough. This is nothing more than fulfillment of my previous promise. I think I will still ask you for information in the future. I look forward to our next meeting, Miss Lacey. Harvey shook his head slightly when he heard the words, and after saying goodbye, his body turned into a purple light and disappeared directly into the bar. Seeing Cassidon's departure, Lacey was a little dazed. Relying on her beauty and means, she has been in the bounty bar for many years. From a waiter who just joined the job just serving wine and food, to the position of intelligence guide, she also has a backer behind her. Although it's not as good as those big shots, ordinary people don't dare to tease her directly. Because she doesn't have any special super abilities to make a lot of money with. All she has is a good skin, and she has studied many techniques to seduce men in the past. So Lacey will still take the initiative to seduce men. With her beauty, she used to seduce new bounty hunters, as long as her aesthetics were not abnormal. She basically hits every mark and never misses. I never thought that she would take the initiative to attack today, and she missed it after talking about such a thing. If Cassidy dislikes her, she can understand, but Mr. Cassidy said that he looks forward to seeing you next time. It doesn't seem like she dislikes her, which makes Lacey's mood a little delicate. Episode 58, Talents in the Bounty World. The way Harvey left attracted the attention of the entire bounty bar. Renaud, I didn't see his movement when he left, did you see it? No, not even a trace. That is to say, it's not as simple as being fast? Well, it's most likely the teleportation ability. Tell you a terrible thing, I foretell my future. In my future, I can see all your next actions and actions. But in my future, I can't see Cassidy as if he doesn't exist. I can only see all his actions with the naked eye, just like you guys. You should know what that means. As soon as these words came out, the more than 30 bounty hunters in the bounty bar fell silent. Super ability users are not new in the universe, and there are some super ability users present. Possess a strong physical body or supersonic speed, or spiritual ability, or even a small degree of predicting the future. Most of the bounty hunters are strong people with abilities that are different from ordinary people. With super abilities, they can get rid of daily working hours and control everything by themselves. Renaud, who said he couldn't see the speed clearly, was a supersonic man, a second-level bounty hunter. Renaud has also worked with others to complete the third-level reward task. The task of the third-level bounty has never been said to be impossible for the second level. As long as several second-level hunters with strong abilities and tacit cooperation unite, it can also be completed. There is no one in the entire bounty world who can be called a third-level bounty hunter alone. Only certain interstellar teams form together and cooperate with each other to complete enough third-level missions, have a chance to advance to a third-level bounty hunter group. And even if you advance to the third-level bounty hunter, you are still a second-level bounty hunter when investigating the level of the bounty hunter. However, the logo of the third-level bounty hunter team will be added later. And the one who can see through the future is the Prophet, and he is also a second-level bounty hunter. Although you can't directly see through the future of others, you can see your own future and what's going to happen around you. When catastrophes or extremely dangerous things strike, the scope of the predictive ability will be greatly increased. With this super ability, the predictor possesses powerful fighting ability and firearm technology, and belongs to a celebrity in the bounty world. The most important thing is that when you cooperate with the predictor, you can reduce the risk of death a lot, and greatly improve the success rate of completing the task. It is also one of the most frequently invited by other people to carry out missions together, and one of the members of the third-level bounty team Star Trek. Most of the people present had worked with the seer before, and this was the first time they had heard the seer say that someone was beyond his foresight. Moreover, Renaud, whose speed has reached supersonic speed, said that he could not see Cassidy's movements clearly. There is no need to think about reaching the speed of light. They have not heard of anyone whose speed can reach the speed of light. Therefore, Cassidy's ability can only be achieved with teleportation ability. Although there are many super abilities in the universe, the bounty hunter world is full of talents. As long as the bounty hunters are a little famous, they all have special abilities or super abilities. They have never seen but heard of the strong man with teleportation ability. But they didn't forget that Cassidy's first mission needed to go to the Mowgli star 30 light-years away. Because of this matter, they had gathered together and discussed it carefully before. How did Cassidy reach Mowgli so quickly and complete the bounty for the disaster in the desert? But now that Cassidy has teleportation ability, everything makes sense. It is also because I know that Cassidy may have the terrifying teleportation ability to travel directly across 30 light-years to Mowgli star. Let their hearts not be at peace, you must know that the gods of Asgard want to teleport through Bifrost, which is famous in the universe, so that they can descend to various worlds in an instant. Without Bifrost, the gods of Asgard would not be able to travel directly to each planet across light-year distances at will. Now there is a strong man who is suspected to have this terrifying teleportation ability. And the teleportation may be just one of Cassidy's abilities. After all, the teleportation ability alone cannot complete the task of the desert disaster. A strong man like Cassidy suddenly appeared. If it wasn't for their peers, they would at most avoid it in the future. They don't need to worry too much if everyone doesn't violate the river, but the problem is that this kind of strong is their peers. The bounty hunters in the bounty world are all talents, and sometimes they perform some dangerous tasks together. It's even more like a fish in water when they cooperate, and they can't wait to form a team with each other to do tasks together. But if their rewards are too high and they are favored by their peers, then the best companions who used to be the most comfortable to cooperate with will become the most difficult opponents. But being difficult does not mean that there is no way to deal with it. The universe is so big, and the reward is really high. The big deal is to spend less time on a planet. It is not so easy for the other party to catch them all the way. But Cassidon, who is suspected to have the ability to teleport across light years, appeared, and let the seer say that it was beyond his foreseeable range. This is definitely an unimaginable powerhouse. If Cassidon targets them because of the reward, then the entire universe may not have a place for them to hide. Because as soon as the other party takes over the mission and searches for the latest information, they may directly descend on various planets, and they don't even have time to escape in space fighters. Then they have to pay attention to whether their actions will be overly rewarded in the future. I did some research. He just came to Xander today. And there is no record of him flying away in a fighter plane, so his teleportation may be genuine. I just don't know what kind of powerful ability he still possesses. Give me some time, I'll investigate more. Because they realized something, someone had already begun to directly investigate the information, and said, "Those need time to investigate, but judging from the first order he just entered the industry, it seems that he only takes big orders. The one of us with the highest reward seems to be 1.5 million Renault, right? There is still some distance from the big order, try to pay attention to the behavior when performing tasks in the future." These words made the other bounty hunters in the bar breathe a sigh of relief. The reward of 1.5 million is not low, but in the eyes of several second-level bounty hunters present, it is also a small order. For the 1.5 million to kill Renault, it is better to cooperate with Renault to complete some big orders and earn more money. As for the first-level bounty hunter, Renault is not at all a threat, because the first-level bounty hunter and the second-level bounty hunter are not at the same level at all. Episode 59, Staying at a Celebrity Hotel, and Harvey didn't know that there would be so many worries in the bounty hunter bar. Because of the cosmic translator, there is finally no obstacle for Harvey to communicate. So after Harvey left the bar, he quickly asked where the most famous hotel on Xander was, and the name of the hotel was Celebrity. When Harvey came outside this celebrity hotel, he looked up and saw a hotel with at least 70 floors, and walked in. There are several beautiful women sitting or standing in the lobby. Because of Harvey's arrival, the mysterious and solemn atmosphere directly attracted their attention. But before they could act, the nearest woman with a pure and pleasant figure had already come in front of Harvey. "Sir, are you looking for someone?" the young woman asked politely. "No, I'm here to check in." Harvey shook his head slightly. "Then which room do you reserve, sir?" Hearing that she was here to check in, the woman immediately asked. "I'm here to check in, I don't have an appointment." Harvey spoke when he heard this. "Sir, according to the rule, our hotel needs to make an appointment in advance before we can check in. I know this may disturb your interest, but please come back after making an appointment." The young woman bowed slightly when she heard the words, and said with respect, "Can't you check in directly without checking in?" When Harvey heard that he couldn't check in directly, he frowned slightly and said, "I'm very sorry if I offended you. However, sir, you haven't made an appointment. If you want to check in directly, you must pay a 1-month room fee of 300,000 in one lump sum before you can move in." "I see, sir, you are a new face, you should be here for tourism, and you won't stay on Xander for a long time. If you want to experience a celebrity hotel, my personal suggestion is to make an appointment, so that you can stay on Xander for a few days and pay for a few days without costing you." The woman bowed and apologized when she heard Harvey's dissatisfied words, and explained the reason. "Then stay for a month." After Harvey heard the reason clearly, his mood eased a lot and he said directly, "Okay, sir, please follow me to register and pay." The woman heard that the other party insisted on moving in, so she didn't try to persuade her anymore, with a professional smile on her face. Harvey followed the woman through the luxuriously decorated lobby to the front desk. The woman clicked on the front desk, and a projection screen appeared. "Please fill in the information and pay, sir, and then I will take you to your room." The woman stepped aside and said politely. Harvey filled in his name without any nonsense, and paid. "Dear Mr. Cassidon, your room is 7777, please follow me, I will take you there." The young woman had a smile on her face when she saw the other party paying. Harvey nodded slightly when he heard the words, and walked up. "Mr. Cassidon, my name is Sonia, please forgive my previous faux pas. Let me introduce you to our celebrity hotel. In our celebrity hotel, breakfast, lunch and dinner are all inclusive. The dishes are different every day, and special snacks will be served in the afternoon. There is a dance every month, maybe you can meet a woman who catches your heart or make friends with similar interests there. I just don't know if you prefer to eat in the room or go to the food court." Sonia led Harvey into the hanging staircase, and when entering the password to go to the room on the 77th floor, she introduced and asked, "I like to eat in my room." Get me a dinner for 200 people and deliver it to my room. Harvey was not surprised to hear that the morning, middle and evening packages are all inclusive, which is why Harvey chose to stay in this hotel after asking passers-by. According to his diet, it would cost more than 300,000 yuan to eat a month. Moreover, he didn't know much about Xander, so it would be very troublesome if he had to find different delicacies by himself. This hotel is all-inclusive and the dishes are different every day. The taste is guaranteed and it saves a lot of trouble. How can Harvey not be tempted? It's just that when Harvey opened his mouth, it was food for 200 people. It gave Sonia a headache, and she regretted that she took the initiative to come up, but since she has already received it, she must be responsible to the end. Sir, it's a violation if you order too much and don't finish it more than 3 times. Our hotel needs to charge you an extra fee. There was a forced smile on Sonia's face. It's no wonder Sonia would be like this, because if Cassidy ordered too much food and didn't finish it, he would commit more fouls. If this Mr. Cassidy is unwilling to pay, it will be directly deducted from her salary. You don't need to worry about this. If it violates the rules, I will pay for it. And it's not just about delivering food to me tonight, I only need to mention it in the next month. Just send me instructions and prepare enough food for me. Harvey glanced at Sonia, who was forced to smile, and said, "With your words, I feel relieved." Sonia heard not only this time but every time, although she was a little surprised, but now that she had this guarantee, she felt relieved and said. Harvey took the hanging ladder all the way to the 77th floor. This is a penthouse wrapped in a layer of special glass. Mr. Cassidy, you will have the right to control this villa for the next month. However, there is an absolutely prohibited rule and a reminder for you. The rule is that you are not allowed to sublet it to others for profit. If our hotel finds out, all your room fees will be confiscated and you will be driven away. The reminder is that if something in the villa is damaged, you need to pay for repairs or purchases. Other than that, you can bring whoever you want. Hope you enjoy your stay here in the next month. If you need any help, you can directly ask the AI to call me. No matter what time it is, I will answer your communication as soon as possible and come to serve you quickly. After Sonia brought Harvey to this floor, she continued to explain the situation. I see, you go and prepare food for me. Harvey nodded lightly when he heard the words, and said. Okay, please wait a moment, your food will be brought to you soon. When Sonia heard that Harvey didn't want to hear more from herself, she didn't mind. She bowed slightly and left. Harvey walked forward and looked around. Originally, for a floor as high as the 77th floor, the wind should be very strong, but Harvey only felt a comfortable breeze. But this penthouse has fully intelligent furniture, a land swimming pool, a wine table, exquisite artwork, luxurious furniture, and entertainment facilities. And there is a bridge made of transparent crystals outside. You can reach the sky garden as long as you walk through it. You can sit in the garden and watch the starry sky close at hand, and you can also overlook the bustling city. If you bring a female companion, it is easy to capture the reassurance of women. Episode 60, Strength Decides to Act. Harvey walked through the sky bridge and came to the garden to directly light up the surrounding lights. The scenery of the garden under the night sky is even more beautiful, and with the fresh fragrance of flowers, people can relax without knowing it. Harvey stood on the edge of the garden aisle, looking down at the colorful scenery of Inwangia lights in the distance. In terms of technology, Xander Star has undoubtedly surpassed Blue Star by a large margin. After all, Blue Star currently doesn't even have space fighters, let alone space battleships. But in terms of life, Harvey feels that life on Xander is not too far from when he was in New York. To say the biggest difference from New York, where he usually lives, is that the security of Xander is much better because of the existence of the Nova Legion on Xander. However, the original life energy of these people from the Nova Legion is only much more than ordinary people, but it is not as much life energy as the people he saw on Mowgli. This represents the overall physical fitness of the Nova Corps, which is not very strong. But the Xander Stars, wearing the special technology of Nova armor, gave them a strength different from ordinary people. It is also because of this Nova armor that he is respected and saluted by many people wherever he goes. Most of the guards who patrolled the ground and wore normal military uniforms were just saying hello, and they didn't know how to salute or show respect. When Harvey first came here, the group of guards guarding the gate of the city, were also wearing this kind of military uniform. This means that even if they serve the entire race, there are class distinctions. This class distinction is a good opportunity for him. Harvey has no idea of dismantling Xander, nor does he have the idea of ruling Xander. He just wants to lead more people from Xander to join the Void. But before guiding, he needs to make himself famous first. After he becomes famous, he only needs to release some rumors, and someone will take the initiative to come to him to understand. In Blue Star, Harvey still has to worry about whether he will attract Ancient One and Odin to bring him countless troubles, but in the universe, he has no such scruples. Even if Xander is proud of the Nova Corps, which is awe-inspiring to countless planets and races, it cannot threaten him. As for those who join the Void to gain power, will it cause huge changes in the class and order of Xander in the future, and even cause wars? Harvey knows that it is inevitable, but he will not interfere with these changes, let alone protect the weak. He is very clear, what kind of strength determines what kind of position. Now he is not strong enough to establish order for the entire universe. But for those who set up layers of restrictions for themselves to do things with no hands, then they might as well stay in Blue Star honestly. His purpose in coming to the universe is very clear. The vast and boundless universe can speed up his own evolution, making him stronger enough to live freely without fear of anything. Freedom is not something you just say orally, but you don't do it if you don't want to, and no one can force you to do it. He will also proclaim the will of the void in the universe. For this reason, he can give any intelligent creature that does not take the initiative to be his enemy a chance to join the void. Harvey is not in charge of how far those intelligent creatures will grow after joining the void, at least not yet. Xander is really good. Harvey overlooked the various forms of Xander, and found many different races. Seeing them busy with their lives, a smile appeared on their faces. At this moment, Sonia had already delivered the delicious food to the villa with a big cart. Mr. Cassidy, I have selected different flavors of food for you in the food area. This is for 50 people. Please taste these first. After you finish eating, I will continue to get you more food. Sonia's voice sounded in the sky garden, reminding Harvey that it was time to eat. Harvey heard Sonia say that after eating the food for 50 people, he would continue to get it for himself, and he didn't mind. He moved across the sky bridge and came to the seat where Sonia was laying out the food. Mr. Cassidy, you really are not from common. Sonia saw Cassidy appearing suddenly, with a professional smile on her face, she said while serving the dishes. I don't seem surprised at all by what you said. Harvey saw some changes in Sonia's eyes, and said. I've been working here since I was 14, so it's been 10 years. I have seen a lot of guests, but few of you, Mr. Cassidy, have the aura of a high-ranking person. However, we have seen many customers with similar super abilities. Everyone in the Nova Corps has great strength, so there is nothing to be surprised about. Sonia smiled slightly when she heard the words, she kept moving her hands as she replied. The accommodation fee of 10,000 yuan a day in a celebrity hotel is not something that ordinary people can afford. Those who can afford it either have a prominent status, or have some amazing strength and ability. The former is generally, no matter how bad it is a well-known rich man on some planets, or it may be some nobles, or people with high positions. The latter are generally bounty hunters and some powerful people who have made a name for themselves by virtue of their super ability. Do you mean that there will be many powerful people in the dance party held once a month at the celebrity hotel? Harvey was thoughtful when he heard Sonia's words. Mr. Cassidy, by your direct check-in without an appointment. You don't seem to know our celebrity hotel well. The celebrity hotel is not so much a place to enjoy a vacation here as it is a place where you can meet various celebrities. As long as you pay in 1 month and stay here for 1 month, you will have a chance to enter the venue. The situation of the dance party is a masquerade party. Both parties will borrow special props to hide their identities. Only when they chat speculatively can they know each other's identities. So your understanding is not wrong. You didn't understand the rules, so you directly paid for the 1 month stay here, and the dance will be held in half a month. If you want to know more when you have time, you can tell me. After arranging the dishes neatly, Sonia opened a bottle of fine wine, leaned over to pour the wine gracefully, and explained. That is to say, 300,000 to buy an admission ticket? If you're interested, I'll take a look. The gold mask on Harvey's face disappeared, and his face was covered by a layer of golden light that would not be dazzling, and he said calmly. Then, he picked up his chopsticks and started eating. Originally, Sonia was not surprised that Harvey had some special super abilities. However, she found that Harvey's face under the mask could not be seen directly, which really frightened her.